See what you did, Stephanie? Do you see the problems you have brought upon this team with your antics this season, Stephanie White? This is what you have done. Now we have to contemplate. We have to think about the what ifs. What ifs that shouldn't even exist because of the antics and the foolishness you pulled this.
Okay, Baskley fam, we gotta talk. Seriously.
The chaos in Indiana starts with one person, Stephanie White. Do you even realize how much turmoil your choices this season have caused for this team? Every misstep, every stubborn decision, it all falls squarely on your shoulders. Now fans and players alike are left pondering the what-ifs, scenarios that shouldn't exist if leadership had actually cared. Alright, Baskley fam, listen closely. While everyone's eyes are glued to Indiana's winning streak and the drama around Lexie Mitchell's contract, something far more serious has been quietly simmering behind the scenes. If it boils over, it could completely derail the Fever's entire future. At the center of this storm is one player, a player disrespected, benched repeatedly, and overlooked despite being the true emotional core of the franchise. We're talking about Lexie Hull. Here's the part no one is talking about. Lexie Hull is a free agent this offseason. She has leverage, options, and after enduring everything this year, there's a real chance she walks away from the very team she helped rebuild from scratch. Let that sink in. Lexie Hull, who played with unmatched intensity and heart, could leave. And yes, every team in the league is noticing. After her lockdown defense, clutch shooting, and relentless hustle late in the season and during the playoffs, she's about to have serious suitors. Portland Fire? They're already on her radar. Seattle Storm? Absolutely watching. Both are ready to offer top-tier contracts to bring her in. That's the reality when you finally give Lexie Hull the minutes she deserved all along. Once injuries forced Stephanie White to play her, Hull exploded. She locked down elite scorers, dove for every loose ball, nailed clutch threes, and did all the gritty, unglamorous work that championship teams depend on. But here's the cruel part. Even after proving herself repeatedly, White kept benching her. Now Portland and Seattle are circling, prepared to pay serious money. Across the league, front offices are whispering, if Indiana doesn't recognize her value, we certainly will. This isn't just standard free agency drama, it's far bigger. Stephanie White's actions go beyond game day decisions. It's about broken promises, ego, and a coach ignoring everything Lexie Hull accomplished before she even arrived. Bottom line, Lexie Hull was undervalued, disrespected, and pushed aside by the new Fever regime, from Kelly Krauskopf to Amber Cox, and most of all Stephanie White. They acted like she wasn't part of the original core for that rebuilt this team from the ground up, completely disregarding her impact and leadership. Before anyone talks about Boston, Clark, or even Lexie Mitchell, there's one name that can't be ignored: Lexie Hull. She was a cornerstone of this team long before Stephanie White ever stepped foot in Indiana. Yet when White arrived, she treated Lexie's contributions as if they never existed. This is an exaggeration, it's exactly what happened. Pay attention here, because this is the heart of the story. Before White's new era, there was a core four that transformed this franchise. Caitlin Clark? Absolutely. Lexie Mitchell? Of course. Aaliyah Boston? No question. But the player who literally held it all together, the glue of that group? Lexie Hull. She earned Clark's trust, anchored the defense, and constantly sacrificed her own stats, minutes, and spotlight just to lift the team higher. Then Stephanie White came in with her so-called plan. And her first move? Bring in Wnba, hand her a max contract, give her a starting spot, and push Lexie Hull straight to the bench like she'd never mattered. The old 59.5 years joke might have drawn laughs, but the underlying message? Brutal. White prioritized a veteran over a homegrown player who had already proven her value on every floor of Indiana's system. Now think about how that hits a player mentally. Every hustle play, every defensive stop, every unselfish assist, erased in a single decision. You're replaced by someone who hasn't earned a thing with the team yet. And it gets worse. Bonner quit entirely. She ghosted practices, abandoned the team, yet continued collecting paychecks. Meanwhile, Stephanie White faced cameras, smiling, spinning lies, pretending everything was perfect for fans and media. But the truth came out that very day. Reports confirmed Bonner refused to return. Lexie Hull saw it all. She watched herself sidelined for a player who bailed on the team. No text, no explanation, no respect. Stephanie White didn't just bench her. She betrayed her. Do you think Lexie Hull forgot any of this? Not a chance. Athletes never forget disrespect. They store it, internalize it, and convert it into fuel. Fuel to either prove doubters wrong or walk away and thrive elsewhere. And what happened next only made things worse. Bonner quit completely, disappearing without communication, while White lied on camera, insisting the locker room was solid and the team was focused. Then, boom, that same day, an article dropped exposing the truth. Bonner refused to come back. Now imagine being Lexie Hull. You're benched for a player who quit. Your coach lies to everyone. And suddenly, the very people who discarded you come crawling back. Not because of respect, but because they ran out of options. That's not respect. That's desperation, plain and simple. When Bonner bailed, one player rose to the occasion, Lexie Hull. She slid right back into the lineup, and almost instantly, the team's energy shifted. She was everywhere, locking down opponents on defense, chasing loose balls, knocking down open shots, and handling all the gritty, unglamorous work no one else wanted. The Fever started winning again. Caitlin Clark finally had a teammate she could fully rely on. The chemistry clicked, the rhythm returned, and everything started falling into place. And then it happened. Sophie Cunningham returned from injury, and Stephanie White did the unthinkable. She benched Lexie Hull again. No explanation, no reason, just back to the sidelines, as if all her effort and sacrifices had vanished into thin air. Fans began to notice. Game after game, the same question echoed. Why isn't Lexie playing? Because anyone paying attention knew the truth. When Lexie Hull is on the court, Indiana looks like a legitimate contender. When she's not, the team loses its spark, its edge, its momentum. Everything had finally clicked. Rhythm, chemistry, confidence. And then Sophie Cunningham was healthy again. To be clear, Sophie is a talented player. No shade there. But what Stephanie White did next was shocking. She benched Lexie Hull again. No warning. No justification. No basketball reason whatsoever. This came right after Lexie had rescued the team from the Bonner chaos, proving, once more, that she's one of Indiana's most dependable players. And just like that, White shoved her back to the bench, ignoring everything she'd accomplished. That's when the pattern became painfully obvious. It exposed the core of White's coaching style. This wasn't about performance. It wasn't about effort. It was about control, about who fit White's personal vision, regardless of what actually worked on the court. And Lexie Hull, no matter how many times she proved herself, she simply didn't fit that vision. Let's break down the numbers, because they tell a story no one's talking about. In July, the most critical stretch of the season, Lexie Hull couldn't even crack 20 minutes per game. One night, she played 15, the next 18, then 14, 19, 21, 19, and the cycle repeated. A player who had just carried the team was suddenly relegated to leftover rotation minutes at the exact moment Indiana needed her most. Here's what makes it even more unbelievable. During that same stretch, Indiana's defense was unraveling. They desperately needed Lexie's energy, her lockdown perimeter defense, her relentless hustle, all the intangibles that never appear in the box score. And yet, White kept her glued to the bench. Why? Because she was experimenting. Ari McDonald in the starting lineup. 3-guard rotations featuring Caitlin Clark, forcing Sophie Cunningham into a starting role that clearly wasn't working. Every possible experiment, except the one that already worked. Give Lexie consistent minutes and let her do what she does best. And the stats don't lie. Every time Lexie saw meaningful court time, Indiana's defense improved. The team won more. Energy shifted. The data screams one undeniable truth. Lexie Hull wasn't underperforming. She was being systematically pushed aside. If you think Lexie Hull and her agent aren't already having serious conversations about her value and next steps, think again. And if Indiana assumes she'll come back on a discount, they're completely out of touch with reality. Let's be real. Lexie Hull is about to become one of the most sought-after free agents in the WNBA. Teams are lining up to offer starter-level contracts, not the "thanks for your effort" kind Indiana might throw at her. Every franchise in the league is searching for exactly what Lexie provides. A player who doesn't need the ball to impact the game, doesn't chase headlines, and consistently takes the toughest defensive assignments night after night. She's the player who dives for loose balls, locks down elite scorers, hits clutch shots when it counts, and quietly elevates everyone around her. You can't teach that, and in this league, a player like Lexie Hull is worth their weight in gold. Look around the league. Opportunities for Lexie Hull are everywhere. Portland Fire is building from scratch and desperately needs culture setters like her. Seattle Storm is retooling around a young core and wants veterans who play the right way, exactly like Lexie. Even championship contenders with tight salary caps will find a way to pay for her, because she's that rare piece who can turn a good team into a great one. Indiana needs to face reality. They had no hesitation promising Wnba a starting role. They kept giving Natasha Howard endless minutes, even when she wasn't performing. So now, it's time to do right by Lexie Hull. Pay her what she deserves. Guarantee her a starting spot. Recognize her as part of the core four who actually rebuilt this franchise. Because if they don't, Portland or Seattle absolutely will. And then Indiana will be left wondering how they let the heart of their team walk away. Confidence is fine. Players talk about MVPs and big goals. That's great. But if you're going to give that energy to newcomers, you better give it to Lexie Hull, because she's the one who earned it on Indiana's court, night after night. And here's what should terrify the Fever: the double standard. Every press conference, every media appearance, it's Kelsey Mitchell is the priority. Kelsey is our cornerstone. No one's denying Kelsey's talent. But where's the same recognition for Lexie? Where's the public acknowledgement that she's equally essential to the foundation of this team? Promises were easy for Bonner. Max contract, starting role before she even played a game. Promises were easy for Howard. Endless minutes, praise, opportunities even when her performance lagged. But Lexie Hull, the player who has been here, who has proven herself over and over, who earned Caitlin Clark's trust and the fans' respect, she gets nothing. Silence. That isn't just a mistake. That's organizational negligence. Indiana is so obsessed with flashy new names that they're ignoring the glue that has always held this team together. The bitter irony? Bonner quit on the team. Howard never lived up to expectations. Meanwhile, Lexie Hull was out there grinding, bleeding for every possession, literally playing with two black eyes, and still giving everything she had. That one detail alone tells you everything about who she is as a competitor. Lexie doesn't play for fame, stats, or applause. She plays for the jersey. She plays for her teammates. She plays to win every single night. Here's the warning: don't let another team walk in and take what's yours. If Indiana keeps overlooking Lexie Hull, someone else will swoop in, pay her her true value, and suddenly the Fever will realize they just lost the heart and soul of their franchise. All because their head coach failed to recognize what was staring her in the face. Lexie is a warrior, plain and simple. She sacrifices her body night after night, diving for loose balls, taking charges, locking down the opposing team's best player, never taking a single possession off. Calling her the heart and soul of the Fever barely scratches the surface. She's the backbone, the blueprint, the example everyone else should be following. And that's exactly the player Stephanie White kept pushing to the back burner. That's the one she continually disrespected through her rotations and decisions. This isn't just poor coaching. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of what championship teams are built on. You don't bench your most selfless player. You don't sideline the person who holds your roster together. You don't punish the one doing everything right simply because she doesn't fit your pre-made plan. Think about the message that sends to the rest of the locker room. If Lexie Hull, who never complains, sacrifices constantly, and does everything the right way, can be treated like she's disposable, what does that tell everyone else? It says loyalty doesn't matter. Effort doesn't matter. Doing the dirty work doesn't matter. What matters is whether you fit Stephanie White's vision, even if that vision fails repeatedly in reality. And that's the breaking point. Lexie Hull has every right to explore her options. If the Seattle Storm or Portland Fire comes calling and says, "We'll give you a max contract, a guaranteed starting role, and we'll build our defense around you," why on earth would she say no? What has Indiana done to earn Lexie Hull's loyalty at this point? The truth is, very little. Stephanie White created this entire mess herself, putting veterans who underperformed ahead of the young player who's proven she thrives under pressure. Promises were made to all the wrong people, while the one player who built the foundation was taken for granted. Now the Fever are on the brink of losing a core piece, not because of money or opportunity, but because their coach refused to see what was right in front of her. Lexie Hull isn't just a player. She's the culture. She's the standard. And if Indiana lets her walk, that's not just losing a player. That's losing the soul of the team. Here's the bottom line. If Indiana truly wants to keep Lexie Hull, they have to do something they've never done before. Treat her with the same respect they've handed out to everyone else. Stephanie White needs to enter that meeting and make the exact same promises she made to Bonner and Howard, but this time, actually mean them. That means a guaranteed starting role, a serious contract, and a public acknowledgement that Lexie is part of the team's core future, not just filler on the roster. No empty compliments. No vague, "we value her" press quotes. Real terms. Real guarantees. Because if Indiana walks in thinking they can lowball her or rely on loyalty alone, they're in for a rude awakening. All it takes is one call. "Hey Lexie, this is Seattle. Max deal, guaranteed starting spot, and we're building our defense around you." If Indiana can't match that, Lexie would be crazy to stay, and honestly, no one would blame her. So here's the real crisis in Indiana. It's not just Kelsey Mitchell's contract or chasing free agent names. It's whether Lexie Hull decides she's done being disrespected and finally takes her talent somewhere she's truly valued. What do you think, fam? Will Indiana step up and do right by Lexie? Or are we about to witness one of the biggest mistakes in Fever history? Drop your thoughts below. This is Keep the Vision, and we'll be watching every move as this story unfolds.